I get started today, I've got some bad news. I've had to fire Bruce, partly because he was shit, and partly because A, I don't need an agent, and B, I was letting him live in the skip outside the house, and I woke up this morning to a sound of grating metal, and the skip was removed, and as such, Bruce was removed, so no more Bruce. Sorry guys, if you enjoyed his mild sort of leveling on my videos, he has been removed, so Sayonara Bruce. Also some bad news, I got Bowie bombed on Twitter, and it put me in a really sort of reflective mood. If you don't know what Bowie bombing is, it's when someone suddenly slams you with a very heartfelt Bowie video, and it was a video of Bowie's version of My Way. You may not be Bowie fans, but yeah, Bowie was a big sort of influence as I grew up, and he taught me about how music could be really expressive, and like the way it progressed and the way you could sort of change your persona over time. And yeah, I got slammed with that, and it really upset me. I don't know why. Like I got like 15 seconds into the song and I was bawling. So yeah, that wasn't the best. So. This is Punk Poetry 103, and obviously I've got one of my poems to read out and analyse. This one's quite a fun one. I've got some honourable mentions. I'm going to do that at the end of the video, to be fair. Go through what I've done today. It's a lot of sort of creative stuff yet again, is what I do. I've got to think now what I've done. I've done so much today. I've written some more poetry. I've done a lot of sort of like artwork and stuff, and a lot of promotion and what have you. All the things that go into being an aspiring poet. I've had a lot of messages I've been getting back to, so I've been chatting to a load of people, sort of influencing people as best I can. People who've never seen certain films, never listened to certain music and what have you. So I've been expressing wisdom as usual. So it's going to be a bit of a short video today. I'm knackered, absolutely knackered. I've been doing so much. I'm moving into lepidoptery soon, so I'm going to be hunting down butterflies. And before you say that I'm a cruel individual for killing said butterflies, it's the end of the season, so they're going to be dying out anyway. So I'm hopefully going to be finding butterflies that are on their last legs or last wings, and I'm going to be sort of preserving them in their eternal beauty, and that's something I'm really interested in. So that's going to be fun. Anywho, I'm going to move on to my poem now, and then move on to the sort of extraneous stuff afterwards. So this poem's called "Time Is Up," and it's a really sort of basic title. You'll get it literally within the first couple of lines of what the time is. Like I said yesterday when I was reviewing Brunswick's poems, his collection, it is a Tempus Mori poem, and it is it's sort of simple and complex at the same time, just generally the way I tend to write. So I'll read it out, do the analysis, and then go on to my housekeeping. So here we go. Time is up. Grieve every second, mourn every hour. Slay every minute as they become sour. Drown every decade, hang all the days, bury the week in shawls made of grey. Carve up the months, drain blood from the years, bludgeon the ages with all of your fears. I brutalised that, but you get the general gist. So, like I said, Tempus Mori. If you didn't watch the video yesterday, Tempus Mori is the time before you die, as it's smoothed out. It's got a sort of more brutal, sort of direct Latin to English iteration. But yeah, that's the general gist. So I'm going to go line per line for this one. It's one big stanza, so there's no point in me just gabbling through it. So I'm going to go line by line. So grieve every second, mourn every hour. And mourn is one of two things. So mourn is in mourning, and mourn is in mourning. The English language, gotta love it. There, which. But yes, mourn is in mourning. So mourn is in feeling for something that's past, and mourning is in the day has broken. And this sort of works with the time, sort of the beginning of the day and the end of life. So they work sort of against each other and with each other, which is quite nice. And that double meaning sort of gets thrown throughout. I'll work on the rest of that as I go through. Then you've got slay every minute as they become sour. So you've got the idea that you're fighting back against this. You're constantly fighting against this constant flow of time coming against you. And it's a difficult thing to do. I mean, when I hit the age of 30, I was really scared, like really freaked out. So I got to 29 and 364 days, and I spent that entire night going, oh my God, I'm going to be 30, oh my God, I'm going to be 30, oh my God, I'm going to be 30. And then I turned 30 and it was just like, shit man, it's just another day, I'm 38 now, and I really don't give a fuck that I'm turning 40 in 2 years. I'm quite surprised I've got this far, to be fair. I'll go into more sort of like personal stuff in the future, but yes, once you hear my history, you'll realise that me hitting 38 was quite a milestone, to be fair. And then we've got slay every minute as they become sour, drown every decade, hang all the days. So water, I talked about this with Barry's poem. This was written before I read Barry's book, so I'm not leeching off the back of him. But drown every decade. So you've got that idea of water and time and flowing, and but if you sink too deep into the flow of time, you are going to drown, and you're going to suffer, and you're going to end up choking, and that flow of time is going to overwhelm you. So that's the idea of that one. Hang all the days. The idea of a rope hanging you. It's restriction, and this is a time restriction that you've got on you. And I mentioned this yesterday as well. Having that noose around your neck of time. You need to wake up at this time. You need to have breakfast at this time. You need to have lunch at this time. You need to go home at this time. You need to make sure that this time is for this time. And this one, it's a lot of bollocks. You do what you do when you can do it. There's no point forcing yourself into these things. If you work to that sort of structure, absolutely fine. But there are some people out there that are just, they feel overwhelmed by sort of a time structure. And you've got to realise that time is it's a natural construct to an extent, but it seems to have been sort of forced on people by sort of modern human traits, and like just live in nature, man. There's no point in trying to sort of fit yourself into a category devised by humans, because they're fucking idiots. Then we've got drown every decade, hang all the days, bury the week. And that's another double meaning, quite an obvious one. So you've got bury the week. Week is in the 7 days of the week, and also the week is in the stragglers. And that's sort of, I've written that ironically, because no one's truly weak. It's just people's perception of other people makes them weak. And yeah, that's pure irony. So make of that one which you will. So let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so bury the week in shawls made of grey. So that's burial shrouds, and that's going back to the grieving at the beginning of the grieving and mourning at the beginning of the poem. Obviously, like back in sort of I can't go back that far, to be fair. Everyone was buried in shawls. I've been watching a lot of stuff on sort of the sort of Arthurian period. Obviously, I know it's fables and what have you, but yeah, you were buried in shawls. Well, you weren't even buried in shawls; you were burned in shawls, in shawls, and that is a very ancient sort of twist. I mean, Vikings were wrapped up and put in a boat and burned and what have you, and it's where cremation comes from now. And I think that's a really beautiful way to go. One of the last things, like the easiest spell for Merlin to cast was a fire spell, and sadly it was the most difficult spell he had to cast, because Merlin's last spell he had to cast for Arthur was to set fire to his best friend as he floated out into the river. And there's beauty in that. There really is beauty in that. So yeah, the shawl is very much dedicated to that bit of sort of fantastic history. And then I've got: carve up the months, drave blood from the years, bludgeon the ages with all of your fears. So this is the last part about fighting back against time. So you've got carve up the months. It's a segmentation of the modern calendar. So like if you look at the Mayan calendar, that caused a lot of problems coming up to the year 2000 because the Mayan calendar ran out. We've got more of a sort of, well, we use the sort of Romani calendar now, and that is something that, yeah, segmenting the months up. I mean, it's numerology, which I understand, and I really like that. And you've also got you've got a lot of sort of star-based sort of cosmological theory going behind that as well. But yeah, we've literally carved up the months just to create a sort of fixed premise for us to run through. Then you've got drain blood from the years. That was in there, and it doesn't seem obvious, but draining blood from the years is to do with leap years or daylight savings and what have you, if you're in America. So we amend the years to our own fixation, because it's not fixed. It's not fixed because it's nature. You can try and chain it down as much as you can, but you can't fix it in one place. It's a wonderful thing. I'm blowing my own trumpet here, but I was really chuffed with that line. Really enjoyed that. So drain blood from the years, bludgeon the ages with all of your fears. So bludgeoning the ages is something that it's another human trait. You've probably heard the term that history is written by the winners, and yes, that's what we do. So we do bludgeon the ages. It's history is Chinese whispers. Before the written word happened, it was all spoken word. So you'd have one person speaking to another person, and then that person would reiterate to another person, and it would go hand on hand on hand on hand. And once you got down through that route, whatever the first person said was completely obliterated by the fact that it was misinterpreted every time, and then it got written into a certain language, and then that got translated into a different language where they didn't understand properly, and then that got translated into a different language. So you think over 2,000, 3,000 years, you can imagine how the original message is lost, especially when it comes to a religion, So that's the whole idea of bludgeoning of the ages. With all of your fears, it's a basic line to finish it off with. It was nice, it rhymed. But yeah, it sort of rings throughout. The fears are of time moving forward, moving closer to death, not knowing what's going on, not knowing the religion that's behind it, not knowing the actual truth of life and existence. So as much as for me it was like it was just a nice little stopgap at the end. As I look through it now, I realise, like I said, subconscious again, that line actually has a lot of meaning that ties everything together. So yeah, it's a really interesting one. That one is. I looked through a load of poems, to be fair, to do a review on today, an analysis on today, and this one just sort of just popped its head out, and I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to go into like crazy amounts of sort of literary detail, but basically you've got you know, I love alliteration, so you've got plosive alliteration in there, which is the breath alliteration, the B's, the G's, the K's, the P's. So that's the breathing in and out over time. And then you've got the dental alliteration, which is the D's and T's throughout. So it's basically the breath and the skull. So you've got life and death throughout, and that's the general gist. So I really hope you enjoyed that that sort of run up. A couple of things now. I've got to do some housekeeping. Tomorrow will be the debrief as usual. So tomorrow I'll be reading a poem sent to me by T. Bella, and she's on Instagram as mylife.inpoetry, and I really like getting feedback from her, because she is she used to be an English head of department, and she's always sort of commenting on my posts, and she really wants me to analyse her posts. And for someone of such sort of linguistic sort of fortitude to ask me, a rank amateur, to have a look at her work, it's really humbling, and I'm really happy that I get a chance to do that. So that's going to turn up tomorrow, so definitely tune into that one, because the poem I'm doing, it's one of my favourites of hers, and she's picked it out really well, and she also put a Metallica soundtrack to it, so I was just like, yep, I'm in. So yes, definitely look out for that one. And then the final thing, and I'm going to start doing this for a lot of as many people as I can. Now I'm on YouTube, and this is going to be majoritively for YouTube, and it's still going to go out on Instagram. I'm not too sure if the minutes have gone over or what have you, so you'll get a major chunk of it on Instagram, but you'll get the full thing on YouTube. I'm going to be promoting some people, and I've been learning French and Italian recently, mostly French, from a very good friend of mine, and I mean a really good friend of mine, like my bestest best friend, and she has introduced me to language in a way that I couldn't get my head round in school. I can read French okay, not like I can't read Italian too much. I'm pretty good with like Latin-based languages to read, but to speak, no way. But I've been watching her videos, and I've started to learn how to conjugate verbs. I understand masculine and feminine, and she does it in such a way, and I don't know why I didn't learn it in school. I couldn't work it out in school, but she does it in such a way. She does actual online lessons and what have you. She does physical lessons in a sort of local area. But if you just want to get a chance to sort of just learn the basics and get a sort of overall understanding, definitely check out More Language Solutions on YouTube. Charlie is absolutely amazing at it, and she's just a natural teacher, and she's not condescending. She's a really loving person, and yeah, she definitely deserves some love out there. So if you want to broaden your mind, especially like I know I talk to a lot of poets, so if you want to learn how to sort of restructure, definitely have a look at French and Italian, because they have a different structure, and it can make you a lot more eloquent in your poetry and make your poetry more unique. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much for listening to me again, and I shall speak to you all tomorrow. Definitely check out my review and an analysis of T. Bella's poem. And yeah, have a good night, guys, and I shall speak to you soon. Much love, much peace. Mwah.